What if I told you that the life you actually want, the slow mornings, the good food, the zero financial stress, is already waiting for you, and the only reason you don't have it yet is because nobody told you where to look? Today I'm going to show you 4 countries where $200 to $300 a month in 2026 covers your basic living costs completely. 4 places that will genuinely make you stop and think, why have I never heard of this? And before I show you the first one, I want you to do something. Think about what you spent last month. Rent, food, transport, the random stuff. Now hold that number in your head, because by the end of this video, that number is going to feel absolutely embarrassing. Country number 1 doesn't even feel like a real place until you see it with your own eyes. Imagine waking up every single morning to snow-capped mountains outside your window, not a hotel window, your actual bedroom window, while paying less for your apartment than most people pay for a gym membership back home. That is Kyrgyzstan. A 1-bedroom apartment outside the city centre in Bishkek costs between $150 and $250 a month. And a weekly grocery run from the local bazaar costs around $20 to $30. But here is what no one tells you about this country. The mountains are not the backdrop. They are the lifestyle. People here hike, ride horses, camp by alpine lakes, and live at a pace that most of us have completely forgotten exists. Is it perfect? No. English is not widely spoken, winters hit hard, and infrastructure is basic. But if you are the kind of person who would trade a Netflix subscription for a mountain view and a rent bill that almost doesn't exist, Kyrgyzstan is sitting there right now, completely ignored by the rest of the world, waiting for you to notice it. Now, the next country is one that travelers always say they'll go back to. They never do, and that is the biggest mistake they make. There's a very specific feeling that Laos gives you, and it is almost impossible to describe until you've been there. It is the feeling that time has slowed down, not because nothing is happening, but because nobody is rushing. The Mekong River runs through it. Monks walk the streets at sunrise collecting offerings, and the air smells like wood smoke and jasmine. And somehow all of this costs almost nothing. In smaller cities like Paksy or Savannakhet, rent for a 1-bedroom apartment sits between $100 and $300 a month. Street food like papaya salad or a local noodle dish costs $1 to $2 a portion, and a full month of eating entirely local food comes in at around $100 to $150. The thing about Laos that people miss when they only look at the numbers is that cheapness here isn't a compromise, it's a consequence of the culture. This is a country that genuinely hasn't been built around squeezing money out of visitors, and you feel that the moment you arrive. The one thing I'll be honest with you about, internet speeds and modern infrastructure are still catching up. So if you need fast Wi-Fi for remote work, do your research on the city you're choosing. But for anyone who wants to live slowly, eat well, and spend almost nothing, Laos in 2026 is quietly one of the best answers on Earth. Now the next country is probably the most practical one on this list, and it has one feature that no other country here has, which makes it almost uniquely easy for foreigners to move to. Cambodia doesn't get the romance that Thailand gets. It doesn't get the mystery that Laos gets. But here is what Cambodia does get: practicality. This is a country that runs almost entirely on US dollars, meaning there is no currency conversion stress, no exchange rate anxiety, no waking up to find your money is worth less than yesterday. You land, you spend, and what you see is what you pay. Local meals in Phnom Penh cost around $3.50 to $5, and if you cook at home using local markets, your monthly food bill for one person stays between $150 and $200. Healthcare at private clinics is affordable. The expat community is large and genuinely welcoming, and the visa rules are among the most flexible in the entire region. Now, I'll be straight with you, Phnom Penh itself is no longer ultra cheap. A lean budget covering simple housing and mostly local food sits at around $550 to $800 a month in the capital. But step outside the capital, into Kampot, into Battambang, into the quieter riverside towns, and that number drops to a level that will genuinely make your jaw drop. Cambodia rewards the person who doesn't need to be in the biggest city, and if that's you, this country will treat your bank account extremely kindly. And now for the one that is going to surprise you the most, because this last country doesn't look like it belongs on a cheap living list at all. And that is exactly what makes it the most interesting one. When most people think of cheap countries to live in, they think of Southeast Asia. They think of dusty roads and basic infrastructure and trading comfort for savings. Georgia blows that entire idea apart. Tbilisi, the capital, has cobblestone streets, rooftop wine bars, sulfur bathhouses that have been running since the 5th century, and an old town so beautiful that you'll spend your first week just walking around with your mouth open. Taxi rides within the city rarely exceed $5, and the metro costs just 40 cents per trip, regardless of distance. What makes Georgia truly different from every other country on this list is the feeling of it. You don't feel like you're living cheaply. You feel like you found a cheat code, a European quality of life at a fraction of the price, and you can't believe nobody told you about it sooner. Most nationalities can also stay visa-free for an entire year, which means you can land and simply begin your life there without a single piece of paperwork. Georgia is not a secret anymore, but it is still wildly underestimated, and 2026 might be the last year it stays this affordable before the rest of the world finally catches on. 4 countries. 4 completely different lives, and every single one of them available to you right now in 2026 for around $300 a month at a basic local level, less than what most people spend without even noticing. If you want me to go deep on any one of these countries, a full dedicated video, the visas, the neighborhoods, exactly how to make the move, tell me in the comments right now. And if this video gave you something to think about, subscribing takes 2 seconds and it genuinely helps me keep making content like this every single week.